And we are live. So I'm going to wait for more people to join, and then we'll be starting in around a minute's time. Almost. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. So in this one-off session, we'll be hearing all about technical career pathways with the Intellectual Property Office. So backstage, you have me, Amber. I'm from Code First Girls. So I'm a Code First Girls brand ambassador. So if you have any questions about Code First Girls, upcoming courses and events, please do put them in the YouTube chat, and I'll do my absolute best to reply to them during the session. So I did the Code First Girls course back in 2018, and maybe 2 months ago now, I started my first role as a junior software engineer at American Express. So I can definitely vouch for the Code First Girls course. Definitely check them out if you're looking to break into tech. So we're absolutely delighted to have the Intellectual Property Office partner of us today for the session. And we have Beth Rosemeyer, who is the IT Academy Future Talent Lead. Tor Hatton, she's a DevOps Year in Industry Apprentice. Sarge Karnam, who's a business analyst. Claire Mark, who's the head of engineering in existing systems department. And Shania Davis, who is the head of platforms and digital enlightenment as your content presenters for today. So if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat, and we're able to answer some of them at the end of the session as well. So we'll also be running other MOOCs in the upcoming months. So please do have a look and sign up for them. And they'll give you a great insight into the key technical languages or concepts. So I'll share the link in the chat in a moment. And we also have upcoming career switcher courses and also some new uni Kickstarter courses as well. So definitely do check your emails, because that was emailed, and I'll send a link as well. And just to let you know that the YouTube video will be up for a week or two after today's session. So if you'd like to rewatch it, you can do that in your spare time. So I'm really happy to welcome on Beth, Tor, Sarge, Claire, and Sean onto the stream to tell you more about technical career pathways with the Intellectual Property Office. So I'll add them to the stream now. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
And I'll mute everyone. And if someone wants to share their screen, that would be great. Perfect.
Great. Thanks, Amber. So, hi, everyone. I'm Beth Rosemeyer. And firstly, I'm going to tell you a bit about the Intellectual Property Office, or IPO as we're known, as an organisation. And then my four colleagues, so Tor, Saj, Claire and Shania, are then going to give you an insight into their tech careers at the IPO. So just to start off then, a bit about me. So like I said, I'm Beth Rosemeyer. I've actually worked at the IPO for 7 years now in various roles, but I joined our IT department a year ago. My official job title is IT Academy Future Talent Lead. And this means I work on the IT Academy team in our IT department. It's a small team of 6 individuals. And my role on that team is that
Beth, you've cut out. I'll just give us a second for Beth to get her internet back.
Is it worth planning for Tor to take over and then we can come back to Beth?
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Tor, I've put you on the spot a bit.
Yeah, no, I've got it all up ready.
Great.
All right.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, was that Beth's internet?
Yeah, we've lost
Oh,
Beth.
sorry, I was panicking thinking it was mine. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Just give me 2 secs. Okay.
Are the slides still available?
Yeah, I've got them.
Okay,
So I'm just literally getting it ready
Oh.
to come up.
thank
Is
you.
it while we're waiting for Tor, because I've put her on the spot, not we, I've put her on the spot a bit. Is it worth telling the girls a little bit about the intellectual property office and what we do?
Absolutely.
So within the office, what we do is actually manage the rights around intellectual property. So that will be everything from patents to trademarks and designs. And we actually cover that for all of the UK, working very closely with the European Patents Office and also with other patent offices right across the world. And it basically helps protect people's rights. And we're very, very keen to encourage people right across the UK and people moving to the UK or wanting to trade in the UK to work with us so that we can protect their copyright, protect their rights in general, and also it's big on our agenda is to encourage innovation.
Yep.
How are we doing, Tor?
I'm ready. Let's go. So there we go.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Right. So hi everyone. My name's Tor or Victoria, and basically I've been at the IPO for just over a year and a half now. My new job title is I'm now a junior DevOps engineer. I came to the IPO as a year in industry student as part of a placement year for uni. So a little bit about where I'm up to and just a roadmap of what is going on in my life and my career. So for my GCSEs and A-levels, I went to an IT specialist academy for 4 years, and I was on and on about a tech career and whether I should do it and whether I should not. But after having multiple and long chats with my IT teacher, I found that my passion laid within tech, it laid within IT, from whether it just being standard day every day to actual more specialist coding and program and looking at all the different elements of tech. So that then led on to a university course that I'm currently studying, which is computer forensics. And for my 3rd year, I took a placement and I came to the IPO and I did a year in industry and got to join the DevOps team, and that was there. And it gave me an insight into what actually is DevOps, because before I knew the term DevOps, but I'd never worked in that environment. And it's really helped me to get that understanding of the different parts of a tech career. And then I've now been extended in a contract and I've just started a new employment with the IPO. And that has led me to being a junior DevOps engineer. So day to day, my role as an existing systems DevOps engineer. So I support any and all existing systems that are So it's all the older systems that are still used within the IPO before we're coming through a transformation program. So day to day, I look at pipelines, which are a section of automated tasks that get ran to help save time for people and to keep jobs continuously scheduled and ticking over. And we're also looking at how we can look at changing from old style pipelines of like drag and drop, dead simple and basic, into more efficient and complex hard coded pipelines. I also look at different pipeline incidents on a day to day and respond to those incidents. So I have to make sure that systems remain operational, pipelines remain running successfully, and this can either be as an individual or it can be as a whole team that we look at these issues. So just a few points about what I love about the IPO. So it's given me the opportunity to have a year in industry and understand the tech industry whilst at uni. As before coming, you know that there's IT and you know that like there's software engineers and there's business analysts and all of that, but you don't know the actual in-depth roles that go into how an IT team functions and what is meant by being part of the IT team. And it's given me the exposure to different roles. For instance, my role, before coming on, it was who knows, like I just started to learn new things. And another great thing about the IPO is you get continuous support in every day, whether it's my own personal support and development in my technical ability, or even down to like my uni course and what I'm doing wider outside of work. There's that support there. And coming like on from like my experience and my age, I'm only 21 and yet I'm seen as a valued team member and not criticized or put down because of it. And I think one of the best things is the ways of working. It's being incredibly flexible, but also focused on what is happening and how things are working. So I am going to pass over. I think I'm going to pass back to Beth.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beth, are you okay?
Yes, thanks for that. Oh, sorry, my internet completely died.
No worries.
So, yeah, I'll start from the beginning because I don't know how much you guys heard. So I've worked at the IPO 7 years in various different roles, but I joined the IT department a year ago now, and my official job title is IT Future Talent Lead. And I work in the IT Academy team, which is a small team of 6 individuals. And in my role, I lead on our future talent schemes. So these are our IT graduate schemes, our year in industry placements, our apprenticeship schemes, and our STEM returners schemes. So I just want to tell you a bit about the Intellectual Property Office, IPO as we're known, and our partnership with Code4Skills to start with. So the IPO, we're a government body and we are home of innovation in the UK. So we're responsible for intellectual property rights or IP rights, including patents, designs, trademarks, and copyright. So as an organisation, we ensure that people get the right type of protection for their creation or their invention. So it's a really exciting place to work, really innovative ideas coming through the door every day. And as well as that, we also help the UK economy and society benefit from knowledge and ideas.
Beth, you're breaking up a little again.
My internet's going again, I think.
Yeah, it is a bit.
I think you're okay to carry on, Beth.
shall we speak a little bit more on this slide? I'll step in a little bit while we wait for Beth to come back. It is a very inclusive culture where diversity is embraced. And that really is not just saying it, but when you meet people, you'll see that people from all different kinds of walks of life, different backgrounds, and that is actively encouraged. And people feel very comfortable, I believe, in the IPO from people I've met to date, in expressing their diversity as well. There's a culture built on fairness and opportunity for all, as the slide says. And that is really important. It's part of the ethos within the IPO, that people are fair, treat each other properly and correctly, and people have an opportunity to progress within their careers. There are a lot of people who've been with the organisation for a short period of time, like myself, but there are a lot of people who've been 20, 30 years in the organisation and have progressed their career throughout that period as well. Very keen to support equality in the tech sector and remove the barriers women face entering STEM careers. I've worked in a number of IT teams in different sectors and different organisations, and I think it's absolutely fantastic that we do have far more women, especially than in lots of the companies I've worked in previously. So I think that is absolutely fantastic, and we go out of our way to encourage and support women in STEM careers, not just on the IT side, but also some of the examiners, for instance, patent examiners. We also have quite a high percentage really of women, again, from a STEM background. And we're doing things, obviously supporting Code First Girls, but also STEM returners as well, which tends to quite a high proportion of women coming back into the workplace from a STEM background. Thank you. Tor, are you in charge? Can you move on to the next slide, please?
I think I'm back. I don't know.
Yay! Thanks. Go for it.
So thanks, Shania, and just some of the benefits of working in tech at the IPO. Hopefully I won't cut out on you guys again. So our IT department at the IPO is made up of over 200 individuals. And as I mentioned, the IT department has a dedicated academy team, and that's the team I work on. So our role as a team is to support individuals' ongoing personal and career development. So we really work to identify learning pathways across the varied tech roles in our IT department. We want to work with people to find the best training approach, using multiple sources and training providers to help our people really grow and develop and meet their aspirations. There's a whole host of additional support that you get when you're in our tech department. So you get unlimited Pluralsight video learning access. So you'll get a Pluralsight license and have unlimited access to the training that's available on there. We also offer access to Microsoft ESI training suite. So all kind of Microsoft-based training around Microsoft Azure or anything like that, you get limited training suite access for that. You get a range of trainer-led learning through civil service learning and our other external training providers. We also offer diverse and varied job shadowing opportunities and development opportunities. And there's substantial support for career progression as well. So now some of the benefits for working in the IPO. Mental health and wellbeing is a real key focus of ours and a key focus for making the IPO a brilliant place to work. We have a variety of support functions on offer, and that includes our excellent staff counselling service. So that's a source of support for all employees at the IPO. We also have a peer-to-peer support network, which is actually staff-led. And this support group offers support to individuals who experience mental health issues, from depression, anxiety, through to bereavement. So you really do feel fully supported. Working with us at the IPO, you also have an opportunity to form part of our many inclusive networks. Now, there's a lot of networks, so there's too many to mention here, but I will run through a few quickly. So we've got our Women's Inclusive Network, which supports the IPO to be a workplace where everyone can reach their full potential, regardless of gender. We've got our BAME network, which supports our Black, Asian and ethnic minority colleagues in the IPO. We've got our LGBTQ+ network, which is called iPride, and that network stands for all individuals who have shared experience in the realms of sexual orientation, gender identity and expression. And then we also have iThink, which is our neurodiversity network for colleagues with autism, dyslexia and dyspraxia. And the final one I'm going to mention is ICANN, which is our network that supports and provides a voice for colleagues with disabilities. Now, like I said, the list does go on. There is more, and I've only just mentioned a few of our support networks, but no matter what walk of life you're from, you genuinely do feel supported by the IPO as an organisation. We also hold our Investors in People gold standard, and we're really committed to giving our people the best opportunities to succeed. So this is why we offer a truly flexible working scheme. We actually have no core hours, so you can work from any time between 5 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night, and you can choose that flexible work-life balance that suits you. So finally, to conclude my section then, what I love about the IPO. So having worked at the organisation for 7 years, there's a lot I love about it. But firstly, even though the IPO is a fairly large organisation, it really cares about its people the same way a family, small run business would. So I've never known an organisation that provides so much support, and it really does allow you to achieve that work-life balance. It's also a really fun place to work. So there's lots of organised social events and activities, working when we've been working virtually. There's been a whole host of virtual social events that we could get involved in. There's been mastermind quizzes, virtual escape rooms. So there really is a brilliant social calendar and always something to get involved in. So that's it from me. And I'm going to be passing over to Saj now to tell a bit about her career as a business analyst.
Hello everyone. My name is Sajida, or Saj Khanum, and I've worked at the IPO for 8 months now. I work here as a business analyst in the IT digital delivery team, which is the home of business analysis. So my journey with the IPO, well, before joining the IPO, I worked in the private sector for an automotive company where I worked for 4 years before I was made redundant. And the redundancy came at a time where COVID had just hit, so jobs were quite sparse and the job market was quite competitive. And unfortunately, I was out of a job for 12 months before I came across the STEM Returners programme with the IPO. I applied for it and I was successful in my application. And I joined the IPO then on the 1st of February 2021 on a 12-week STEM Returners programme. It was really scary times for me, joining a new workforce after 12 months of not being in work, but also a lot had changed in that time whereby everything was virtual. And one of my challenges or worries when I first joined was, how do I get to know people, and what support will I get? Because when you start in a new office, you get to meet people through daily activities, whether you're walking into work or just going to make a cup of coffee or tea, and you really get to interact with your colleagues, learn about them, learn about the different projects that they're working on and the departments that they're from. But honestly, the IPO were absolutely great. I came across the mentor scheme, which was really, really beneficial for me. With that, through my mentor scheme, then I was able to shadow different departments and learn about what they do and the different types of systems that they use. And it actually opened sort of like a great network for me, because not only was I able to shadow them, I got to actually meet new people and really network. The other thing that was really beneficial for me with the IPO is that I was able to buddy up with a fellow colleague of mine who's also a business analyst. And before the IPO, I've never had a role as a business analyst. I've always worked into like the tech space, but never as a business analyst. So by shadowing him, I was really able to understand and learn about the different types of agile ceremonies, such as daily stand-ups, refinement, sprint planning, and retrospective meetings. And with the IPO, they really do sort of like focus, as Beth mentioned, on staff progression. And luckily, towards the end of my 12 weeks program, my contract was extended for a further 9 months. But in that time, a full-time vacancy came up within my department, and with the support of my mentor, I was able to apply for that role. They really helped me with my interview and application techniques, which was honestly really invaluable for me and really supportive. And it really helped me grow as a person and helped me grow my confidence as well. So the role of a business analyst is really to work alongside the business and the IT department to provide essential business analysis resource. It's about analysing the existing systems and identifying where they're going wrong or where they're failing, and then identifying future ways of working. It involves a lot of eliciting information and documenting requirements in order to define future ways of working. With that, it involves liaising with the business, and it involves managing key stakeholders. So with your stakeholders, how often do they want to be updated? What's the method of communication that they prefer? Is it emails? Is it via Teams? Is it via chat? So yeah, it's really managing your key stakeholders and keeping them aligned and keeping them up to date. It's delivering outcomes to enable successful change initiatives or projects. With that, I do a lot of process mapping as well. I process map the existing process, the way it looks now, and also process map the future way of working. And I can tell you, before I joined the IPO, I did do process mapping, but not as confidently as I do now. So they really do help you and support you, especially, in this industry, there's so many different systems. And this system that we use here is quite different. But, my colleagues are absolutely supportive and really helpful. And yeah, really, really helped me grow within this space. Overall, I guess a role of a business analyst to ensure that the approaches and outcomes are fit for purpose. Okay, so a little bit about my journey and why I chose business analysis. So I worked in the private sector for just over 13.5 years, and that was 10 years in banking and just over 3.5 years in automotive finance. Throughout my career, I was given plenty of opportunities to work alongside project managers and business analysts, and any secondment opportunities that came up, I sort of like applied for them and got them. And I guess this is where sort of like my experience and knowledge started to grow. With my previous employment, like I mentioned, with both of my employments, actually, I was made redundant both times, but I always took it as a positive, really, because with change comes new learnings. And with that, it gave me the time to reflect as to what career path I wanted to take. Was it sort of like project management or business analysis? I obtained many qualifications whilst I was off work, so Prince 2 Agile Foundation and sort of like Agile Business Analysis and process mapping course as well. And because I'm naturally inquisitive and I like problem solving, I just thought business analysis was sort of like the right career path for me. And having sort of like done the job for 8 months now, I'm absolutely certain I made the correct choice. So what I love about the IPO, so especially joining as a STEM returner with 12 months of being out of work, I can really tell you that they really do focus on developing their staff. There's various different development programs in place. They offer you study allowance, coaching and mentoring, which has been like invaluable for me. They have online learning platforms such as Pluralsight. Pluralsight I use a lot to sort of like learn more about my role, so it can be quite role specific. And I use Archimedes. So Archimedes is sort of like a system. It's more for your personal development, I'd say. So when I thought I only had 12 weeks left in the business, I used it to improve, sort of go on courses on how to improve my CV and interview techniques. So they really do help you sort of like grow within the business and also personally as well. They really, as Beth mentioned and Tor mentioned, they focus on equality and diversity. Flexible working hours is great. My favourite is the great benefits and rewards scheme that they have to offer. So, for example, they have a whole host of shops. For example, Asda is one of them. So, using the app, you can get a certain percentage off your end bill, which is great. And above all, they have a brilliant pension scheme. So that's it from me. I'll pass you over to my colleague Claire Mark.
Hi everyone. So I'm Claire Mark. I've been here at the IPO for 32 years, which is longer than probably most of you have been alive. So I feel very old. My current job is Head of Existing Systems for Engineering, and I look after the delivery teams who maintain and make changes to our current front-end and back-end systems, which support the processing of patents, trademarks, and designs. So my career, I started way back in 1989 as an administrative officer. I just finished uni. I went to Portsmouth and did a degree in geography. That's where I kind of first got introduced to computers. I didn't do any computing in school, went to do geography and had 1 hour lecture once a week. And that was kind of my first kind of view of computing and IT. So once I'd finished my degree, I moved back to Newport. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, didn't know what career I wanted. The patent office, it was called then, was just moving from London to Newport, and there were a lot of vacancies. So I decided to take up a job offer I had as an administrative officer, and I thought, well, I'll do that for a while and then decide what I really want to do, and move into my career once I've done that. But as it turns out, that first job became my career, and I'm still here 32 years later. So and kind of just the highlights, I guess, because there's too much to talk about. I got promoted then to an executive officer in 1990, still within the business area of the patent office in trademark new applications. And then in 1991, the patent office had just introduced a mainframe system, for anyone who knows about mainframes. And they had used third parties and contractors to develop the system. So they needed people from within the IPO or, the local area to train up and join the IT department. So we had to take a IT aptitude test, which I passed, and then had the opportunity to move into IT as a system tester. So I did that for a couple of years. I then had a career break when I had my first daughter, came back, did a bit more software testing, and then started training as a mainframe software developer, learning COBOL and Application Master, and did that until 1996 when I had my second career break for my second daughter. Came back after that, and then kind of made a bit of a change. They were introducing a new system, which was known as queues, and people could phone the office and get an automated service, which would then provide basic information for patents, trademarks, and designs. So this was all pre-internet. It was quite groundbreaking and exciting at the time. So I got involved in that, became a lead administrator as well as testing on the system. And that led to my second promotion, which was at that time called a higher executive officer. And that's kind of when I started getting into management as well. So I became a test lead. For the next 10 years, I worked part-time. You know, the IPO has always been a really good place for flexible working and making sure you get a good work-home life balance. So I worked part-time because my children were young. Carried on with the software testing. We'd started working on something we called small systems, which was Windows-based systems in languages such as Fox Pro and Visual Basic. And kind of, again, they're probably languages some of you have never heard of, but at the time it was always kind of, the IPO was always kind of the place to be working on the kind of latest technologies. So stayed there until 2007, and that's when the IPO decided to introduce business analysis as a profession. So I thought, right, I'll have a little bit of a change and see how I get on with that. So I became a business analyst, got qualified in that and did that for a couple of years. But I think my heart was always in testing. So came back to testing in 2009. In 2010, then I got my third promotion to what was a senior executive officer, and I became the test manager for a number of the testing teams. That was quite an exciting time. So we were migrating off of the mainframe and the Windows-based systems, and there were new systems coming in for trademarks and designs, which were web-based systems using Java as their language. So did that for 5 years, and then they were looking for someone to look after a new service desk that was coming in, and they'd asked me would I be interested. So I did that for a year. So that was another kind of change in my role, which was quite enjoyable, very different, quite enjoyable. But I was very happy then to come back to testing in 2016. They then introduced that testing was becoming more of a profession, and there was a new head of profession role, which I took up. And in 2019, then got another promotion to head of test. So in 2020, which was last year, during the first lockdown, there was a bit of a restructure that went on in IT. My role as head of test kind of moved or went, and I became head of engineering for existing systems, which meant I covered testing and development and actually look after the delivery managers as well. So we've now got 7 teams within existing systems, all working on the variety of systems and applications that we support. So that kind of sums up my 32-year career. So what I love about the IPO, it is a brilliant place to work, or I wouldn't have stayed here for that long. It is very family friendly, as I've already said. I guess for most of you, you're not really thinking about babies or anything like that, but it does kind of support people, you know, whether it is looking after children or looking after elderly parents, or, you know, whatever it is you want to do, you will get support. Great people. I've always worked with really nice people in great teams, both the people I work with and the managers who I've worked for. They've always been really supportive. I've had, just within IT, a variety of jobs and roles. So it's not kind of, oh, I've joined as a tester, that's where I'll stay. If you do want to kind of change, see how other roles fit, you have plenty of opportunities for that. The training, you know, I've got professional qualifications on the software testing side and on the business analysis side. And, you know, management training, coaching, whatever is there, you know, you want, it's there for you. career path. Like I say, I joined as an administrative officer 32 years ago, and I've had a number of promotions to get where I am now. And finally, pension. And again, it's probably something you're not thinking about at the moment. And I know it certainly never occurred to me when I joined, you know, that having a good pension was a benefit. But now as I am getting older and starting to think of the future, you know, I know that I will be able to live comfortably once I do eventually retire, which won't be just yet. But, you know, that's another benefit of working here. So that's all from me, and I'll hand over to Shania.
Lovely, thank you, Claire. My name is Shania Davis. I am Welsh speaking, hence the Shania bit. And I've been with the IPO for 4 months, so not very long at all. My title is Head of Platforms and Digital Enablement, and I'm guessing that means absolutely nothing to you, so I will explain. There's one part of my role that really centres around traditional platforms and infrastructure. So I've got a DBA team, I've got a servers and storage team. So we've actually got an on-premise small data centre, we call it Frame Room. Really state-of-the-art stuff there, to be fair. I've got a networks team, so a lot of the connectivity and connecting IT systems is done by my team. And the other part of my team then, the digital enablement bit, is more future focused because we are going through a major transformation program within the IPO at the moment. I've got the cloud enablement team. So that is looking at moving from on-prem kind of servers to cloud in future, and also the DevOps team that Tor is part of. So Tor, it's lovely to see you speaking so passionately about your role, and you're very much valued. And we're so pleased that you've decided to stay with us for another year. So that's great news for us. So, guys, I know we've been talking for quite a while. So if you've got any questions as we go through, please feel free to jump in. I'm expecting us to be quite interactive, so don't be shy. Okay. So I started off my career down the bottom there. And you'll see there's a diagram there with Cardiff University, where I went to uni. And there's a piece of DNA, because my degree is in applied biology. I did do a little bit of programming, but it really was centered around biology. And having completed my degree, I thought, right, this is not actually what I want to do for life, because it largely prepared me for work in kind of lab work and that side of things that didn't appeal to me. And I applied as a graduate trainee to British Gas. And as part of my graduate training program, I spent some time in a customer-facing part of the IT organization, the support and help desk area. Absolutely loved it. And one of the jobs I took up at the end of my grad program, it's a 2-year program, was in the IT department, and absolutely loved it until the point it was centralised. All of IT in those days with British Gas was centralised to Solihull. My husband had a better paid job than I did, so I decided to stay locally and stay in British Gas, and ended up as Area Customer Relations Manager, dealing with all the high-level complaints. And after 2 years of that, I decided, no, I really couldn't cope with it, and I needed to get back into IT. My husband worked for BT at the time, and I knew there were good opportunities within BT, but I had to take a backward step. Having progressed within British Gas, the only way of actually entering the workplace with BT and changing direction fully into IT was by taking a graduate program role again. So it was a little bit disheartening, but I knew IT was for me, and there was a very large IT organisation in BT at the time in Cardiff, so that's what I chose to do. And I picked up a role as testing, so similar to Claire in that way. Did my apprenticeship, if you like, and really having changed career from British Gas to BT, spent quite a bit of time kind of getting up to speed, improving myself. But there were a series of promotions, I spent some time working on an NHS project. So I was doing external work from within BT at that time, and had lots of project management roles. And I think that that's quite good. You know, if you want a variety or exposure to a lot of things, I think project management, and I'd say technical project management, not just standard project management, is quite good for that. My next promotion was during a period of time where I built a technology showcase for BT and had a whale of a time inviting people in so they could see all the tech and cool things that BT was innovating, and what was going on in the wider industry at that point as well. It was great fun showing how different applications and new tech could really help businesses and organizations. And while I was that grade, lots of sideways moves as well, and I became an application manager with small teams of tech teams responsible for application development and support. My next jump up then really was taking on unit management roles, and one of those roles was with the data and analytics team, and that's where I really started my journey in working with offshore and outsourced teams. So I had a mixed team, some people who were employed directly by BT and some people were subcontracted into BT, and there's definitely a skill set that you build around that, where you're learning to manage quite different people from different cultures, managing them remotely. So I'm quite comfortable in being a remote worker. The pandemic didn't hit me too hard in that way. Loved those roles and wanted more responsibility. So then I took on various senior management roles, and worked more globally as well, in that some people from my team were based in Malaysia, some people were based in India. And the last role I had in BT was actually quite a big area, and responsible for all of the systems for BT fleet services. So that was the vehicle maintenance systems around that. Also prisons telephony systems, so everything that supported the in-cell phones, and also phone books and pay phones, and I'm trying to think what else I managed. It was a very large team and quite a big senior role at that point. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, it coincided with a decision point for BT where they decided not to continue having an IT team based in Cardiff and relocate to Bristol. I actually live to the west of Cardiff, and I felt that was too much of a commute, so I actually took redundancy. So it was a bit of a dip there in my career for a brief time. The same as Sarge, you know, it was quite tough going back about a year ago to find jobs, especially at a more senior level. Market's definitely picked up now, especially on the IT side of things. But it gave me the opportunity to reevaluate what I wanted to do. Did I still want to stay in IT? Did I still want to stay in the private sector? And I spent some time just kind of working out what I wanted to do next. And one of the things I identified was, yes, I absolutely still love IT and working in IT. I feel very passionate about it, and I wanted to stay in IT. But I also recognized through all the roles I've done, pretty much through the IT life cycle, the one area I hadn't covered as much was on the networking and servers and storage and the platform side of things. Although I have a fair amount of DevOps experience and agile delivery experience. So I applied and was successful with the IPO and have been very happy so far. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Thank you very much. So when I had my little bit of time out back last year, I made a conscious decision that I'd worked in the private sector for a long time, and I did want to change. And the public sector I found appealing, partly because of its work-life balance, but also because there are lots of opportunities across the public sector. Although I work in the IPO and really want to stay here for a good period of time, I do have the opportunities of applying for jobs elsewhere in the public sector. And that was quite important to me, to have a little bit of flexibility around that, and a little bit continuity of still belonging to a government organisation overall. I was keen to manage my work-life balance as well. Part of the reason I chose not to take a job in Bristol with BT was because of the travel time on top of the long hours I was already doing. And I just wanted to get that balance back in my life. My husband still works locally in Wales, and I've got 21-year-old twins. So it was quite key for me to stay in South Wales as well. And I was absolutely thrilled that the IPO is based fairly locally to me, and that absolutely suited my desire from a family life point of view. My parents are getting on a bit as well, and I want to make sure I can get home to them when I need to. As I mentioned on the last slide, it was a big deal for me to cover that part of the IT life cycle that I hadn't had exposure to in the past, because I think that is a good building block to say then I've pretty much covered all of IT during my career, and if I want to progress to the next level, then it's really good foundation to say, well, I've done all of this stuff. I can manage the whole of an IT organization. So the traditional stuff around the servers and databases, that was actually key for me. But I also wanted to get involved in the newer, sexier stuff around public cloud and DevOps, and be part of that journey, because that's where so many companies are heading at the moment. And I feel that there are great career opportunities within the IPO. I didn't know about being able to get some money off in ASDA, so I'm going to follow that up with Sarge later on. Thank you, Sarge. That's great to know. And that is pretty much it for me, a bit of a whistle-stop tour. And I think, are we moving on to questions?
Yes, we're moving on to questions now. Thank you so much for such an engaging presentation. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure everyone else has too. We've got quite a few questions in the comment section, so let's just start it off now. So Connie has a question. So Connie says, if I was able to take up an IT language, where is best to start? Go ahead, Tor.
So I think it depends on what you're looking at. So I think best place to start is either looking at your mainstream like Java, .NET, anything like that. But then if you want something a bit more everyday, technical, getting around your PC a bit better, I'd go PowerShell and basic command terminals, whether that be Windows or Linux. I think they're pretty good places to start and pretty good bases, as my background is that I've got a Java background along with PowerShell. So that's where I sit comfortably, and it gets me through what I need to.
Perfect.
I think when we're looking at recruiting developers and testers now, kind of need a bit of programming as well. We just look for any of the kind of mainstream languages, because we know, we're going to change, we're moving into transformation. Our developers here are going to have to learn new languages, and we give you all the kind of training that you need to move to whatever the tech stack will be. And I think that's the same with a lot of kind of employers. They're actually looking for people who are enthusiastic and willing to learn and pick up new skills. So, I don't think it's a terrible decision, whichever language you choose, just, so long as you have got that basic understanding of programming.
Absolutely.
Great advice. Thank you so much. So Chelsea also has a question. So their question is, I'm interested in DevOps roles. Looking online for the most relevant information can be a little overwhelming. I'm studying computing and IT degree, and would what would you recommend learning independently? So again, so I think this one's for you.
So one of the things that my previous manager told me to look at before coming into a DevOps role was looking at Azure. And on Microsoft's website, they actually offer full tutorials, full read downs, walkthroughs, everything Azure pipeline based, whether that be old style or new. And that's mostly what my work contains, is around the Azure estate. So just little bits like that will help. Even like, and looking at your languages and just having a broad understanding of how things work and how code works, I think is fab.
Perfect, thank you. So Rachel has a question as well. So Shania, you said you knew IT was for you. What was it in particular about IT that draws you in?
I think it's the challenges from a technical point of view, and I think it's the intellectual challenge and the problem solving that particularly appeals to me. I am enthusiastic about tech. You know, I do like a bit of new tech, so that definitely does it for me. But I think it's a mixture of the stimulation from a mental point of view, together with the opportunity to work with people. It's less about kind of headset on, head down and coding all day and every day. There's a whole ecosystem within IT, and there is just such a broad range of jobs and opportunities. And there's never a dull moment, and you always feel you're learning and you're progressing. And technology always moves on as well. And you're talking about choosing a language. That will be the only language that you program in. Over time, you will progress, and as new tech comes about, then you we're constantly learning. And I think it is, as a career, it's pretty family friendly. My husband and I my husband works in IT as well, and we've brought up the kids, and I mean, quite flexible around that. There's an opportunity to do homework. There's an opportunity to work in the office. There's an opportunity for international travel if you want it. And I'm just amazed that there aren't more women choosing to come into IT. And all I can say is it's been bloody great, and I would highly recommend it to anybody starting out in their career.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah, I think we should expand that out to everyone else. So Saj, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think like Shania mentioned, I love the element of talking to different people in the business. So you're dealing with, varied stakeholders. You're talking to the people who are sort of like more customer facing, to the people that are quite higher up in the business as well. And just problem solving. I absolutely love it, and getting to the root cause of a problem. But I think sort of like, the talking to people and working together, because as Shania mentioned, there's like so many cogs within IT. So currently I'm working on a Java upgrade project, for example, but with that, I'm talking to the testers, to the developers, to Claire. So it's just great.
Great. Beth, we'd love to hear more from you as well. So what about IT drew you in?
So yeah, similarly to Saj, I obviously support people across IT with all their training needs. So whether it's kind of new starters that are joining the organisation and joining one of our future talent schemes, I get to support them. Then when they start their IT career, which is really exciting, through to people who've been in the organisation 32 years, like Claire. So any kind of training needs or any support that anyone across our IT department needs, that's what my team focus on. So I get to interact with lots of different individuals in different roles, and find out what training they need and help them along those career paths and really achieve those aspirations that they want to get to.
Beautiful. And Claire?
I think, as the others have said, you're always learning something new. Even after 32 years, there's still plenty of stuff for me to learn. I also kind of get a great deal of kind of satisfaction and a lot of pride in some of the things that we've done. You know, with Brexit, with COVID, we've had to make changes to our systems to help customers, to enable them to file during COVID, when, you know, we couldn't really have paper filings in the office. And, you know, the hard work and the dedication from the teams, it just makes me feel so proud, and I get a lot of job satisfaction from that. So, and as the others said, just talking to lots of people, like I think Shania said, you get the impression of developers just kind of sat their heads down, you know, and there are a couple who are like that. But for the majority, you know, it is, you know, you
have the option.
Thanks for making that clarification, for sure. Oh, so Chelsea has a question. So I tried to look online regarding year in industry placements. When are these available? Would they be listed on the Gov website?
Yes. So the best thing to do is sign up for an account with civil service jobs. So once you have an account with civil service jobs, you can actually set up alerts to be notified for any jobs with us in our IT department as and when they go live. So all our future talent schemes, so our year in industry placements, our graduate schemes, our STEM returner schemes, they're all advertised through civil service jobs. So if you get on there, set up an account with those, and then set your alerts, as soon as the jobs go live and the placements go live, you'll get notified.
Okay. Cool, thank you. So Nishita has a question as well. So hello, are trainings particularly in DevOps, testing, business analysis, and cloud platform? How do we know what would be right for us if we have no prior experience in any of the above?
Well, it's a really good question. I think it's worth reaching out and making a few contacts, to be honest, and spending an hour or so with people in the kind of jobs and opportunities that are out there, just to find out a little bit more. So I would say, you know, extend your network, try and meet some people doing different IT jobs, and spend some time understanding what they do on a day-to-day basis, because it's very hard, because you don't know when you start in a career in IT, you just think it's overwhelming. There are so many different types of jobs, and I would say you're not stuck doing one job. Most organizations, if they've got an IT organization or an IT unit, then they will have lots of different jobs within that IT unit. So don't feel if you go down one particular path that you're stuck there, because you're not. It just leads to different opportunities, and you'll see that my career is quite up and downy. Where I'll have done 2 or 3 jobs that are the same grade, but lots and lots of different jobs. And I liken it a little bit to almost collecting brownie badges, where I pick up information I need either to progress to the next level or to expand my knowledge, so that when I do move up to the next level, I've got a really good foundation. So I've done lots and lots of different IT jobs.
I can add to that as well, actually. So I graduated in sociology, and I really didn't know what to do as a career. So I started off in a contact centre with the building society that I worked for. But with that, I kind of like shadowed different departments to identify what I really wanted to do. And I was given then, luckily, very many secondment opportunities to work alongside business analysts and project managers, and then that gave me a real sort of like something like food for thought, really. What do I want to do with my career, and what career path do I want to choose? So I did a lot of various different secondments just to find my feet, really. And with that, I started doing various different qualifications as well, like my Lean Six Sigma yellow belt and green belt. And I've done my Agile, my Prince 2, and it kind of like that, because it's education, right? No one's going to take those qualifications away from you once you've done it. So I just wanted to learn a bit more about them before I sort of like said, oh, this is the career for me. So I did dabble in sort of like project management, business analysis and testing as well, quite a fair bit before I actually chose the correct career path for me. So yeah, just go out there and sort of like speak to the wherever you're working at the moment and see whether you can shadow or whether they have any secondment opportunities.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Does
Ash.
anyone else want to take the question?
Yeah. So I think even if you have no prior experience within IT and within that career line, I think looking at yourself and looking at your own interests, because they massively fit into it. So I have my interests are like I'll build PCs, I'll do hardware testing, I love buying tech. It's my guilty pleasure. I love it. I love getting all the new things. You know, you love the shiny things, don't you? It's the shiny things
Yeah.
in life that get you through. And I think that's when you look around, like you want to do something that you enjoy. And I enjoy being on PCs and problem solving. You've just got to look at your own interests and see, can I see myself doing that for a bit of time and loving it? Because that's what it's all about, really, is loving IT and loving that way of working.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. Do you want to add anything, Claire?
Oh, unmute, Claire.
Wait,
Right. I think everyone's probably, covered it. It is difficult when you first start. I came in from the business, started off with testing, did a bit of development, did a bit of business analyst, did some service desk, and I've always ended up coming back to testing, really, because I think, like I say, that for me, I think I actually like finding bugs. That's kind of what's
for someone else to fix.
It's still mean, isn't it? But, you just like
finding fault in other people.
Don't tell my husband, but yeah. So and there's I did like the business analysis side of it for a while. That was a change, and it was a kind of a different skills that I needed. But there's just such a lot of variety there, and we've had some grads come in who have gone into one area and it hasn't really suited them, and they've moved into another area. So there's opportunity to change around, and I think Saj, you said whatever you've learned, it's never going to be, oh, that was a waste of time, because you've always built on a skill that you can use going forward. So you're just kind of making a more rounded version of yourself, and whatever you've learned you take into your next role.
Nice. Thank you so much, everyone. So Chelsea has a question. Are there any books that you've read that you would recommend? So the books to help with development and understanding networking or tech roles, stuff like that?
I think it's hard to choose a single book.
Yeah. That's a lot of the, I think we've mentioned, we have plural sites. So I think perhaps if you're looking at something, if you're looking at a skill, you tend to go there, or it's the old Google something if you want to find out about it. From the agile ways of working, there was kind of the Phoenix project from a few years ago. That's always the one that kind of people say, yeah, read that book, if you really want to get into an agile mindset. Can't think of any that I really recommend. not that I wouldn't recommend them, but there's nothing that kind of, like I say, the Phoenix project is probably the one that springs to mind. But
I think books aside, YouTube is another platform that you can use. I use YouTube for absolutely everything, and even for the role that I'm doing today, because we're always learning. There's always things that I'm uncertain of, and I always tend to use YouTube to find out more information, or especially there's so many different tools and techniques with my job as a business analyst. I always go on YouTube and look at different types of tutorials, and there's so much on there that you can learn from.
Yeah, I think just from even a simple Google, as long as you don't end up on page 56 somewhere, then you're in good hands. Always go for those top 3 pages, and you type in any keyword, and something's bound to come up, because most books nowadays, I find that they're all online. Like, everything's online, everything references one another. So giving something a good Google never hurts.
Thank you so much. So Suman has a question. They say, currently I am doing international MBA. I want to switch in business analysis. So what would you think about their competency and opportunity in the market? Is it a good idea to choose that path?
Shall I take it, since I was a STEM returner and flitting between different career paths? I think if it's something that you really want to do, again, sort of like look into it. That's what I did. Again, YouTube was like my best friend during that time, Google, and also LinkedIn was valuable for me because working in this space before, I got in touch with colleagues I've previously worked in the tech space. And yeah, I sort of like collated all my information, you know, spoke to people, and yeah, that's how I came to my decision, really. And really sort of like then I was able to say, okay, I'll do this qualification as well, because sometimes when you're starting afresh, you don't even know what qualification would be good to get you the job, right? So speaking to people within that industry always helps.
Thank you. Perfect.
I would say for anyone starting out, I think test is a good entry point. I think business analysts, again, because it's quite hybrid and you're moving into IT in that way. And another good one is something like becoming a data scientist. I think they are good kind of switch over kind of roles if you're fairly new to IT and you don't want to go down the traditional coding path.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to take it, or are we good? Okay, cool. Okay, so we have another. Oh, so Julia says, this was such a helpful presentation. Thank you. That's great to hear. Thanks for the feedback. So is there anything you all would have done differently now that you've landed your roles?
For me, absolutely not, because I was out of a job for a year. I've never done the business analysis role before, but you know, working with the IPO has, honestly, I've been here for 8 months. They really do support you in your career. And you know, joining my team, for example, they knew I've never been a business analyst before, and they've all been so supportive and helpful. The company, the organization as a whole has been brilliant for my development, really. So I wouldn't change anything at all.
No, I'm the same. And there's been times I've thought, oh, you know, should I have moved elsewhere? You know, I've been here 32 years, a long time. Not that many people stay in the same kind of company now. But no, I have no regrets. You know, when people go off, good, and it's right for them. But for me, you know, I've always enjoyed working here, so why move, kind of thing. And like I say, I had the variety that I needed with the different roles I've tried. I've had the opportunity to get promotions, you know, and have a bit of a career out of it. So no regrets from me.
Again, same for me. I wouldn't have changed anything without the IPO. Like, I wouldn't have got my year in industry. I wouldn't, with that experience, and then the continued employment and the opportunity and the exposure of working as a DevOps engineer. So wouldn't change anything.
I wouldn't have done 2 years as an area customer relations manager dealing with high level complaints. I wouldn't recommend that career path.
Thanks for bringing the realness.
Yep, dealing with MP inquiries. But I think I've picked and chosen my way through my career. I have always had lots of opportunities, and even when during that time where I took voluntary redundancy and took a little bit of time out, once I started to actively look, and the market was opening up again, you know, I had to have a choice of quite a few jobs and chose the IPO. So you do have lots of options.
That's great to hear. I love the fact that there's a lot of options. So Victoria says that they have no background in IT, but know that an IT role would really suit them. But they don't have a degree level qualification, so they struggle to get a look at when they're going for IT roles. So I'll continue on from that question. So will there be very basic roles to just enter the industry?
So I guess one way in at the IPO where we've had people come in perhaps with a bit less IT experience is on our service desk. You kind of need less of an in-depth knowledge about anything specific and a bit more of a general kind of knowledge, and you can get trained up in the various areas. And then a lot of people have moved from the IT service desk then into other areas. I know people have gone into the network team, people have come into testing, you know, so that there's opportunities there. I think the other thing is, even if you haven't got experience, try and get some experience, you know, if there's any chance of you know, training, or like we've already mentioned, you know, Google anything to do with what it is you think you want to go in, and see if there's opportunities to kind of get involved. Even I think some of the grads who we've taken on have kind of worked for charity organizations and being involved in the kind of the IT side for that. So try and get some experience, because if we're looking at CVs, you always want someone who's kind of shown a bit of initiative and been a bit proactive to try and get to know, you know, the area that they want to go into.
I happen to know we've got a business case going through at the moment for new roles on our service desk.
Hint, hint.
So if you look, yeah, if you look out in probably a month, 6 weeks time.
Perfect. Does anyone else want to take the question? We're good. Okay, great. So Connie has a question as well. So I've seen the civil service do a fast stream option for roles, but do you know if you have to move around for the role? As like some of you, I wouldn't be able to do that with 3 young children.
We could do it best, couldn't we?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Oh, Beth has just sent her apologies. Sorry, she can't get back in. She's having issues with the internet, but there are 2 more MOOCs coming up, I think is what she said. So
oh, perfect. That's great.
Join us then.
Join us then as well.
I think the problem here is we haven't moved around within the civil service. For many of us, civil service is our first job. Within the IPO is the first job within the civil service, and Claire has stuck with the IPO because she's liked it so much. From what I know, I don't know about a fast stream option, but I do know a number of people who have moved very smoothly from one role to another role across different departments within the civil service and within different organisations. I would say that UK government has done a great job of distributing roles quite widely across the UK. So I would say kind of look and see what civil service departments actually exist in a place near you. And there's more flexibility now on location than there has been in the past. And I think a lot of the civil service would be open to people going into the office once things are back to normal, going into the office perhaps once a week, once every couple of weeks. I think that's the general trend for most government offices. Hope that helps a little bit.
If we can't answer any questions,
Yeah,
Beth has just messaged me to say that you can send any questions into the IT Academy at ipo.gov.uk email address, and then she'll answer any questions that we can't answer for you right now.
Can you repeat that one for a start? Oh, great.
So I put it into the chat. It's all good.
All good.
So Nishita says, what is the employment gap for the STEM returners program? Will age be a bar?
When I applied, there's no sort of like discrimination against age or anything. But I think a prerequisite is that if you've been off work for a long period of time. So I was off for 12 months. So yeah.
And the follow-up to that is, do you need prior technical experience to apply for that STEM returners program?
I did have some experience in IT, so I've never been a business analyst before, so I didn't have a specific career in IT, but I've always worked alongside sort of like business analysts and project managers in supporting roles. So I had some experience, but not. I'd still say I'm quite new to business analysis. Yeah, but I think they look for a bit of experience, and that's fine. I think Beth joining now. There we are.
So I would say I've had experience of other STEM returner programs, and as long as you've got a background in science, technology, engineering or maths, then the expectation is that you would have an aptitude for IT.
Yeah, so I mean, some of the other guys or ladies that were on the STEM returners program, they had been off work for 8 years, 12 years. So,
yep, some people have taken career breaks. It's not limited to women. You know, people sometimes take career breaks for various reasons, whether it's raising a family or doing something completely different. But as long as you come from a STEM background, I think it's worth applying. Is that the right answer, Beth?
Yes, definitely. Yes. Thank you, guys.
This is a tiny bit of a lag.
Was it the right answer, Beth?
I was like, oh gosh. So this isn't a question, but it's just a nice comment. So Victoria says, I would also like to say that the IT department within the IPO do a fab job upgrading the systems and work fast, making sure to keep everyone in the loop whenever something goes wrong. So keep it up. So that's a nice comment.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Victoria.
That's all 5 of us.
And someone says, are there any IT apprenticeships?
We need Beth again. Yes, they do tend to be IT apprenticeships. I think we've got various apprenticeship schemes running. So yes,
again, I think
look out.
Yeah, the government website is really good. Sign up and you'll get any notifications.
As I know, that does include year in industries, the graduate scheme. It all ends up on the civil service jobs website.
Thanks, everyone. And Connie has a question as well. So do you think it's harder for us to apply now compared to 1 or 2 decades ago where IT wasn't as advanced / broad? i.e., are there more IT languages now?
I think there are. I think there are more IT languages. I don't think it's necessarily harder. I think that there are more opportunities than there've ever been, and different ways of coming into the industry that didn't exist 1 or 2 years ago, 1 or 2 decades ago, I should say. It used to be that you joined as a graduate, ideally with a computing science degree of some kind. I think IT these days is far more open to people with varying backgrounds. It is hard to choose which bit of IT you want to go into if you've not had exposure to these things previously, I would say. But there have never been as many IT jobs in the market as there are now. It is really, it's quite hard to find people, we find. And certain skills are in demand. Data science, that's a biggie. Anything to do with security, DevOps, cloud. So all of those things are particularly hot at the moment.
Cool. Thank you. And I see we only have a few more minutes left, so I'll wrap up with this question. What is the most important thing you would like our audience to take away from today? So we can go around to everyone. So whoever wants to take it first.
Shall I go first?
I'd say don't be afraid to apply. Yeah, just go for it. Just take time to reflect and really network with people in the IT space to find out what you really want to do. But don't hold back. Apply. It's a great place to work.
I'd say if you're already
Go on, sorry, go on, Shan.
There's just a bit of a line.
I was just going to say, I think the very fact that you've attended this session means that you have some interest in IT or coding. And I think it's an absolutely superb choice. I think there are so many opportunities, so many different roles within the IT ecosystem. You know, there really are so many options, so many choices. And I'm sure you'll find a way, a job and a role that will suit you. Plus, it's family friendly. All the things I mentioned about things, you can travel, you can be static. There are just so many different varieties of IT.
And so for me, I think it doesn't matter what your experience is. You know, we've all come in from different ways. You know, our careers are all completely different, but we've all thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, I didn't take one of the STEM degrees actually, even though, you know, these days I think it is preferable, but it's not a complete blocker if you haven't taken a STEM degree and you want to get into IT. I know people applying for our grad schemes, you know, some of them have taken some really random degree and then kind of done a year in an IT kind of area to kind of supplement that and get them the opportunity then to be able to apply for the grad scheme. And everything that you've done is experience, and you know, you can take skills from other areas which you can then apply to the IT roles. So, you know, don't worry about what you've done. If you really want to get into IT, just think about what you want to do going forward and what you can do to kind of improve your chances.
I think going off what Claire's just said, I think go for it, no matter your age, your experience, and just go for it. Like, I'm testament to that. I'm 21 and yet I've got a junior DevOps engineer position. Like, just do it. What have you got to lose at the end of the day? Just go.
And I've got a colleague who's also on a graduate scheme. Her degree was like I think it was like pottery. So it's really random, but like, you know, she's always had an interest in IT. And she went away, did a couple of courses on coding. She applied for the job and she's got it, and she's absolutely brilliant at it as well. You know, sometimes you think, people come in as graduate with minimal experience, but it's all down to you really. You know, if you sort of like want to learn and grow, and you've got interest in IT, just apply.
Thank you so much. Wow. I've had such a fun time. I hope you all have too. Honestly, everyone is absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today. Honestly, so much wisdom. I've learned so much. I may even be applying for a job at IPO. I'm joking. Next time I can express. No one's So I hope everyone enjoyed today's session as much as I did. Just a quick reminder that the YouTube video will be up for a week or two after the session today. So definitely rewatch it if you have the time. And if you'd like to rewatch it, just visit the exact same YouTube link that you got onto here with. So I'd like to thank everyone again today. And I hope you're all going to consider joining IPO and your technical career Honestly, I don't see why not at this point. Everyone seems brilliant. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Some good
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.